Hey fellas, so I just did a video a while ago on how to sync the carburetors with a sync tool, because I had a guy ask me how to do it, and I've been needing to do it anyway. Well, I did one on my other Banshee, the one I ride all the time, you know. So I pulled the airbox all out of it, did a video, got it all uploaded, and man, you can't hear anything. Like, you can't hear a word I'm saying. So I'm just gonna do it on this one real quick. I pulled it out, so it's a little easier. It doesn't have the airbox to fill with, and I can just get straight to the point. So I'm gonna fire it up just real quick for you guys, and then I'll pull the pods off it, and I'll show you guys how to sync the carbs real fast. Alright, so I got the pods off, and now I'm gonna go ahead and explain how you do this before I start it, because in the other video, like I said, you couldn't hear anything I said. So after you get it running, you're going to sync the carbs at an idle first. Okay, so say our needle shows 5 here. Let's just pick an easy number. Say it shows 5 here. Then we come over here, and this one here shows 3. Okay, and now I lost my cameraman. Well, I go ahead a cameraman too, so now this video is not even going to be as good as the last. But anyway, say we have 3 here, and we have a 5 here. The way to bring the needle down is just to take your idle screw there and screw out on it to slow down the idle on that carburetor. So we have a 5 here, and we need to bring it down to say 3 or 4, whatever the other side is. Just take your idle screw and back out on it. If you have a 3 here, or a 2, or a lower number, and you need to raise the needle, all you're going to do is go to your idle screw right here with a flathead or whatever you need to adjust it, and screw in on it to raise the needle. So in on the idle screw raises the needle, and out on the idle screw lowers the needle. So with that being said, I'm going to try to do everything here at one time by myself. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, so I'm going to talk pretty loud, so hopefully y'all can hear me this time. The camera's going to be a little bouncy because I have an extension on it to reach out over the quad. I don't have a cameraman this time. Okay, so now, right there we have exactly 5. Right there we have 5, because of course these are synced already. So I'm just going to screw it up real quick. Okay, now see, it still don't sound bad, but it sounds a little funky. Let me rev it and clear it. Okay, now let's take a look at it. Our right carburetor, we got like 6. And our left one, we have almost 4. Okay, we were at 5 before. I like my idle kind of fast, so I'm going to bring the left side back to 5. What I'm going to do is tighten up the right side idle screw. Well, not tighten it, but screw it in rather. I think I said right, so I'm sorry. I'm going to bring in the left side idle screw up to a 5. And as you screw in on it, you'll see the needle move. Almost there. You hear the idle getting a little more crisp. Now we're going to bring this side up, or back down rather, because I screwed it in a while ago. We're going to drop this to a 5. Come out on this screw. When we come out a lot, it drops a whole lot. We go in, it comes up a whole lot. So we back it out, drop it to 5, rev it. Clear it out. Take it out. Got right around the 5. We can stand to come down to a hair. I'm going to back out a little bit on it. There we go. And our left one. Okay, there we are. We're right at 5. So now the carbs are synced. So now the carbs are synced at an idle. So that's how the idle sync is set. It's really simple. It's not a whole lot to it at all. As far as syncing the carbs with tension on the cables, now that's a little different. Okay, so we're back, and I went and got a fan. Put a fan on my little shop stool here, and I got my squirrel cage blowing on my radiator to keep it nice and cool. That way we can adjust on it as long as we need. We don't have to worry about it overheating. I did something real quick here, and I'm going to give it a few minutes to set up before we continue. You can see there in those top adjuster screws, I put blue Loctite on there. Not on the nut, just on the screw itself where it screws down the cap. What happens is, the tricky part about doing this, why I haven't done a video before, is I've tried, and it's just hard doing it by yourself. So I'm going to try this. What happens is when it's sitting there idling and those those top nuts right there, when those top nuts are loose, that adjuster, the small adjuster, the cable adjuster itself, this one right here, it'll sit there and vibrate in on you, or it'll vibrate out just from the vibration, because the thread pitches, I guess the way they're tapped, they fit really loose in there. They always do, even brand new. These are brand new, so that's just the way it is. So what I'm doing is letting that set up a little bit. See, it's already starting to set up, so that they don't vibrate when they're not jammed. And that'll make it a lot easier, because if you don't do that, you'll see right away. You'll get one side set at wherever you want it, say 5 or whatever, and you come to the other side, and you watch the other side nut, and it's sitting there vibrating in or vibrating out on you. Most times they'll vibrate in, you know, because they're not going to tighten, but they will loosen. So I'm going to let that sit up for another couple of minutes and set my camera back up, and then we'll sync them with tension on the cables. So we'll be back. Alright, it's been about 15 minutes now. The Loctite should be good and set up and everything. So engine's all nice and cool now, so we'll go ahead and fire this thing up, and I'll show you guys how to sync the carburetors with tension on the cables. I know you're not going to be able to hear me, so I'm going to tell you guys now. So the way you're doing the same exact thing you did here with the idle screws, except for you're not using the idle screws this time. You're going to be using this adjuster right here. To lower the needle, you're going to screw in on this adjuster. To raise the needle, you're going to screw out on this adjuster. So if this needle is showing, say, 7 and you need 5, you need to shorten the cable, or add slack to it rather. So by doing that, you screw in on this adjuster here. So that's all you're gonna see me doing. Okay, so now let me fire this thing back up, and we'll get her done. And the engine's nice and cool now. It's cool out here. It hadn't run a long while ago when we did the first sync on it. So it's gonna run a little fast until it warms up. Okay, I think where the camera's at there, that's the best shot I'm gonna get by doing it by myself. Hopefully you guys will be able to see the reading on the needle. You're just barely gonna be able to see the adjuster on top of the carb, so we're gonna go ahead and we'll get it done. Okay, I just double checked it at an idle. We're still synced, everything's good there. So now what we have to do, we have to raise the sides a little bit to get tension on the cable. The way we do that is to screw out on the adjuster on the handlebars. You're going to loosen the lock nut up on it and screw out of the cable until the idle comes up just a little bit. When the idle comes up, that's where you want to be. That's what I'm going to do now. Okay, I screwed out on the handlebar adjuster. The idle came up, but now we have tension on the cable. We're going to sync them. It's like 9.5. On the left side we have 7. So I'm just going to shoot for any number and get them even. I'm going to try to set them both at 9. Okay, so right there we have them both reading exactly 10. So what I did to get them even was just adjust those adjusters. Now that they're even, I'm going to run the jam nut down tight, and that'll be it. Okay, I just stopped for a second to review the video to be sure my big old head wasn't in the way. And it kind of was, but you could still see what I was doing. You couldn't see the needle on the left side carb, but I explained what was going on, and you guys saw how I did the idle, and this is the same exact thing. You're just using the top adjusters. So now And the Loctite worked great. Those screws are really solid to turn. They didn't back out on me. Now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and run the lock nuts down, lock them, and then I'm going to fire it back up. I'll still have tension on the cables. I'm going to double check it after the jam nuts are set tight. If it's good, then we can add slack back to the cable up at the handlebars and put our pods back on. So let's go ahead and get these tight. You see, I added Loctite to the bottom only. That way our jam nuts here still work nice and freely. So I'm just going to run these back down all the way to the bottom so they stop. And then I just come in and hold back up. I'm trying to do it where you guys can see. Just hold back up, and you really want to hold. I mean, any little movement is going to throw it off. So hold it and turn that bottom one really slowly until it starts getting tight, and then you can put out on it a little bit. So we'll do this one here. Just be real sure that cable doesn't turn on you. Those are good and tight. So we're going to start it back up. Double check that the setting is still the same, it's still correct. Okay, so it looks like a while ago I probably didn't have this seated tight on the carburetor, and y'all saw how much of a difference that made. I had to make a pretty big adjustment there. I know I didn't turn it. I didn't turn it at all, tightening it up. It just, I didn't have the gauge on there right. What it was is it had a little bit of a leak here, so it didn't register as high as it should have. So now they're set like they should. It's just that right carb was a little bit. Lost my wrench. I'm working out of my shop today because it really feels good out here, so I enjoy working outside. The right carb was just a little out of whack, and that's why you go back and double check it. So now we're gonna jam this up one more time. Just be double sure that top one doesn't turn. Alright, now let's start it one last time and be sure we're good. There, now we're back down in idle. I want to be sure we have some slack in there. Good there. Take our jam nut up here. Run it up. Pull our boot back, give it a couple revs. Okay, now we're going to check it again. Now to idle again, just to be sure that nothing changed at idle speed, which it shouldn't have for any reason. So we are at 5. Okay, so now we're good to go. So now no matter where these slides are, they're dead even with each other. At idle, here, anywhere, they're going to be dead even. So that's the purpose of syncing the slides. A lot of times when you're doing, let me take this extension off my camera. I had a big extension on there so I'd reach over and I could see. A lot of times whenever you put your engine together and everything and you get it tuned, a lot of guys don't adjust the cables like that, or they do it by eye. And what happens is when you're out doing plug chops and stuff like that, one of your plugs will always come out a little darker than the other. You want me to figure out why. Well, what it is, one slide, for instance, will be just a little higher, just like that when you start out. So at half throttle, or wide open throttle, one slide is going to be hung down just a little bit more than the other, so you're getting a complete different air mixture to that cylinder, so that plug is going to read differently. So this is take 2 of the carb sync. I hope this video comes out good. I think it's going to be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in there, get it on the computer, and see what it does. But that's how it's done. Let me go ahead and put these pods on it and fire it up real quick for you guys. All right, all back together. So that's it, fellas. That's all there is. It's not real difficult. As long as, I would really advise you guys using Loctite on those adjusters, because that makes it really, really easy. Otherwise, it's aggravating. It's not easy at all. So that's it. Any questions or comments, put them below. Feel free to message me, and y'all have a good day. God bless. Happy riding. Happy building. All that good stuff.